Well, you get locked up in prison in Panama and you get out after about 6 months.
Yeah, like 9 months, somewhere in that ballpark, yeah.
And then that next year, you decide to move to America?
Well, it wasn't just like a spontaneous decision. So some of the older homies, like Julito, that's part of my story, he had migrated up there with another one of our comrades to work with somebody that was already up there in the drug trade we talking about. And they started establishing themselves well, and then they was kind of like trying to create their own team, and they was trying to like recruit. I guess that's the right word we could use. Younger guys from our neighborhood, Santa Cruz, to come up. So when I got out, I was the last one to find out. I was the first one to make it up there.
Okay, and originally you went to Canada?
Yeah, I went to Canada because the people that were taking care of our traveling arrangement was supposed to be like, we go to Canada first, and then we're gonna meet some people in immigration, some contacts they had. They even had me memorize a passport size picture of the person I was supposed to. That was all a scam. When I got there, there wasn't no such person. The other guy that I was traveling with, I didn't really know him, but he was like just happened to be traveling with me because she did provide, it was a lady. She provided the same service for him. We was on our own. They basically took us in the back room, interrogated us rigorously. Cause my mom traveled so much, she kind of gave me a heads up on some of the do's and don'ts, what to say, what not to say. So I passed the screening and I was released to Canada with the purpose of me returning because I was supposed to be there, just for 2 weeks.
Right, but you eventually made it into America.
That was the plan all along. Canada was just a pit stop across the border in Niagara Falls to upstate New York, and boom, let the show begin.
Right, so now you make it into the US and you go to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And things get popping right away.
No, immediately. It wasn't even no time for the dust to settle.
Okay, so you get to Brooklyn and the robberies happen almost immediately.
Well, yes, in a way, right? So that wasn't our thing in that part at that point in time. They were just trafficking. And when I got there, we're talking about 1986. We're talking about kind of like the height of the crack epidemic. So crack is the main thing in Brooklyn. So and in those days, they had a system where it was what was called gates. And how those gates used to operate, somebody's inside apartment, behind the door, somebody who, when the customer comes, they slide the dollars or the $10 bill to the people, you slide the product back out to the same people. They got a lookout outside, they got armed people on the roof. It's real organized, it's like a corporation. So when I got there, the second day I was there, they took me to an apartment, they was counting a bunch of money in the living room. They said, man, don't stand there. I said, come on, help count. And, when you get to 1,000, put them in rubber bands and then put them in tens and put them in 10,000s. Long story short, it was 250,000. And, I never saw that amount of money in my life. So I'm looking at these guys, whatever they would have asked me to do at that time, it was done. So, I'm impressionable too. Remember, you gotta mind you, I'm 20 years old. But I knew what I was there for and what I was doing. So a couple of days later, a Colombian guy comes to our leader's house to eat. He takes the same money that we counted. And I asked him, I said, you let this guy take the money? He said, yeah, that's how we do business. He good. He take the money, come back in a day or two, we bring the bricks and we good. I said, man, I would never trust nobody with that amount of money. He said, nah, that ain't nothing, man. That's just a small, don't worry about it. Anyway, on this time, the guy decides to fuck him over. So it's kind of like I jinxed it, but it wasn't a jinx. What was going to happen was going to happen regardless. And so everybody all distraught about that, and but the business keep moving. A month or two later, we cleaning somebody's car. Back then it wasn't cell phones. All the numbers were written down on little pieces of paper and stuff like that. So we found this little piece of paper with the guy's address and number because he was trying to divide and conquer between the two leaders. So he slid his information to the one he thought was the smartest one, but it led straight to him. So we went to the address and knocked on the door, big ass house up there in Queens. Knocked on the door, a lady opened the door, and then a younger lady came up behind her, and we asked for the guy. He wasn't there, is he not coming back? So our main guy says, you know what, fuck it, we going in, put our guns, we went in, laid everything down, searched the house, he wasn't there. He asked her to beep him, so he responded, so it kind of lured him to the house. He don't respond, my guy said, they're coming with us. We took him, so I'm not even a month in New York, there's a kidnapping in progress going on. Yeah.
So did you guys get the money back?
Double or triple. Yeah.
Okay, so you ransomed his wife and his girl
Yeah.
back to him
Yeah.
for $750,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in that game, you can't go to the police. Well, actually, he could have gone to the feds and said there's a kidnapping.
Yeah, you could have, because that has happened. That has happened. I have some friends that got arrested just like that. They went to collect a ransom, and it was the feds waiting on them.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole paid in full story, you know, with Rich
Yeah,
Porter
matter
and
of fact,
AZ
yeah.
Faison.
Yeah.
Remember, Rich's little brother gets kidnapped,
Yeah.
and, you know, they say, forget the whole drug thing, we're calling the feds.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it could happen.